Masters Vessel Classical Academy, Primary Section. On the roll.
Hello, pupils. How are you today? I am still your teacher, your mathematics teacher, Chidinma Ajike. Now I'll be taking primary 5 and 6 on mathematics. Our topic for today is time. And under time, we'll be talking about changing units. Changing units. Now, by the end of this lesson, it is expected that you should be able to state units for measuring time. State units for measuring time. Again, you should be able to change from one unit of time to another. Change from one unit of time to another. Now, there are some common devices we use when we want to measure time. Devices and units we use for measuring time. One of the devices is the clock. We use the clock, the wall clock. This one I'm holding is a wall clock. We use it to measure time. Or you say we use it to tell time. Now, we can also use our wristwatches to tell time. Even our phones. We can also tell time from the phones. Now, one of the units of measuring time is, remember that we measure time in seconds. We measure time in minutes. We measure time in hours. We measure time with a week. We measure time in weeks. We measure time with months. We measure time with years. Is that clear? You remember these sayings that 60 seconds makes a minute, 60 minutes makes an hour, 24 hours makes a day, 7 days makes 1 week, and 4 weeks makes a month, and 12 calendar months makes a year, and 52 weeks also makes a year. 365 days makes a year, and 366 days makes a leap year. And then we also have that 10 years makes a decade. What we call decade is within a space of 10 years. And then we talk about century. 100 years makes a century, and 1,000 years makes a millennium. Now you can see all these things I've talked about, they are all time. Do you understand? Now, when we talk about time, the hours between midnight and noon, the hours between midnight, when we say midnight, 12 o'clock in the night, and noon, once it is 12 noon, we call it AM. Those are the morning hours. Within these hours, you can greet good morning. Mommy, good morning. Daddy, good morning. And then, between the hours of noon and midnight again, from that 12 and noon back to 12 midnight, those hours are PM. That is when you can greet good afternoon and good evening within those hours, and you also say good night. Is that clear? Now we can change time from one unit to another. That is why I told you that today our topic is time, but we'll be talking about changing units. Now we can change from smaller units to bigger units, and we can also change from bigger unit to a smaller unit. When we want to change time from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, we'll divide. Is that clear? For example, Paul recorded music for 183 minutes. How many hours and minutes are there? How many hours and minutes are there in 183 minutes? The question is on the board that Paul recorded music for 183 minutes. The question is, how many hours and minutes are there? How many hours and minutes are there? Remember that we said when we want to change, you can see that the number of hours, time he recorded the music is in minutes. He recorded in minutes. Now we are changing it to hours. You can see that hours are what? Bigger than what? Minutes. We are changing to hours and what? Minutes. That means we are going to divide. And when we talk about time, remember that in each of the time, the difference is usually 60. 60 seconds makes a minute, and 60 minutes makes an hour. So for us to find how many hours that are here in 183 minutes, we are going to divide it by 60 minutes. Is that clear? This means 183 divided by 60 minutes. It is the same thing as 183 all over 60. Now we are going to use long division to divide this. You can see 183 inside and 60 outside. This number inside, 183, we call it dividend. It is the dividend. And 60 is called the divisor. 60 is the one dividing 183 minutes. Is that clear? Now, how many times can 60 divide? It would not say 18 because 18 is small. This is a whole number and this one is also a whole number. So we are going to divide it together. Is that clear? So the question is, how many times can 60 divide 183 minutes? Now, the first answer will be 3. 60 can divide 183 3 times. And when we multiply 3 by 60, we get 180. We subtract. 3 take away 0, 3. 8 take away 8, it's 0. And 1 take away 1, it's also 0. So we are left with what? 3. It shows that 183 can be divided by 60 3 times. That means we have 3 hours. Remainder 3 minutes. So our answer will be 3 hours, 3 minutes. The answer is what? 3 hours, 3 minutes. It shows that Paul recorded the music within 3 hours, 3 minutes. Is that clear? Now let's take another example. This one we have changed from a smaller unit to what? A bigger unit. You can see that we divided. Now we're going to change from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. And when we do that, we multiply. To change from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we multiply. Example. Example we have on the board says, Tope worked on her mathematics homework for 2.5 hours. How many minutes did she work for? She worked on the mathematics homework for 2.5 hours. The question is, how many minutes did she work for? Now you can see that we're changing from hours to what? Minutes. Hour is bigger than what? Minutes. Is that clear? Now we're also going to divide by what? 60, because it is 60 minutes that makes what? An hour. We're also going, sorry, not divide, we're going to multiply by 60 because we are changing from bigger unit to smaller unit. We are multiplying 2.5 hours by 60. Now 2.5 hours, you know, is a mixed fraction. It's a fraction, right? We have to, whenever you see a mixed fraction, the first thing you do is to change it to an improper fraction. How do you do that? You multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. And the denominator is 2. And the whole number is also 2. And the numerator is 1. Therefore, we'll multiply 2. This is what we are changing. 2 times 2 plus 1 all over 2 times 60. We have to change the 60 to a fraction, so we give it a denominator, which is what? 1. Is that clear? Now this gives us 2 times 2 gives us 4 plus 1, 5. we have 5 over 2 times 60 over 1. Now we are going to multiply. This is a fraction. What we are left with is what? We now have what? 2 fractions. What we are going to do is to find a factor that can divide through. Now we have 5 over 2 and we have 60 over 1. You know that 2 can divide 60, but 2 cannot divide 5. Remember, you don't divide a numerator with another numerator. Neither can you divide a denominator with another denominator. It goes, we cross multiply it or cross divide. Do you understand? A denominator divides a numerator, while a numerator divides another denominator. Now 2 can divide itself once. 2 can divide 6. How many times? 3 times. And 0 times. Now we are left with 5 times 30. And 1 times 1, you already know it is 1. Anything over 1 is equal to that number. Now let's multiply 5 times 30. 5 times 0 gives us 0. Is that correct? And 5 times 3 gives us what? 15. It therefore means that Tope worked on her homework for 150 minutes. If you convert 2.5 hours, it is what? 2 minutes. It is 150 minutes. You already know that 2 hours, that's 2 60s, and half is 30. If you add 2 60s, that's 120, and then add the half hour, it is what? 30, and that gives us what? 150. So this is how. Don't worry, you will get to the level. By the time you go to secondary school, you'll be able to solve like auntie, okay? So 2.5 hours converted to minutes is equal to what? 150 minutes. Okay, with this, I am going to give you homework. Little assignment you will do at home. Okay? Now, this is your homework. The first part of it, A to C, you are to change it to hours and minutes, okay? There will be some minutes left. So, the answer is expected to be in hours and minutes. You are to change it to hours, okay? Now, we will have number 1. A is, you are to change 99 minutes, okay, to hours and minutes. And 2 is 235 minutes. C is 145 minutes. You have to change them to hours, okay? And then the second part is for you to change to minutes. We have 3.5 hours. Change it to minutes. And then we have 2 and quarter hours. Change it to what? Minutes. Thank you and remain blessed.